Hello and welcome. We'll get started here in a short bit. Jill, hey. Today we're going to do an overall sequence. It's a gray, cold, windy day. We're waiting for spring. So we're just going to do a sequence that just feels really good movement. So it's not going to be focused on any particular thing. So let's get started. As always, the main thing I want you to focus on as we do all these movements is how does it feel? How does it feel when you create that feeling in your body through movement? And as always, everything we'll do today, we're going to do slow, smooth, and gentle. So there's no reason to push hard. There's no reason to do really big poses. Continue moving in a slow, smooth, and gentle fashion. We're going to start on our feet, and we'll start with some balance work and move on from there. So let's get started. So I'd like you to stand feet about hip width apart and find 3 points on each foot. Base of the big toe, base of the pinky, center of the heel. So those 3 points on each foot. Slight bend in the knees. And we're going to balance all three points on our lopsided triangle. And we're going to slowly increase the pressure on one of those 3 points. So to start, I'd like you to slowly increase the pressure on your heels. So both points at the front, the base of the big toe, base of the pinky, lightens a little bit. More pressure on the heel, and then slowly roll forward so that the heel is unweighted a little bit, and more pressure is on the 2 front points. We're going to roll back again and forward again. And we're going to just move nice and slowly. One breath towards the heels, one breath towards the front of the foot, and just come back and forward. And next time you're forward with the heels unweighted, I'd like you to bring a little more pressure to the outside edge of the foot, the base of the pinky. And then slowly roll that pressure point across the metatarsals until most of the weight is at the base of the big toe. And then with the next inhale or exhale, roll to the outside. And then the next breath cycle, roll it to the inside. There we go. Roll to the outside. Roll to the inside. There's no need to lift big here. We're really just changing the weight from one side of the foot to the other. The heel is largely unweighted. If it needs to touch for some balance, that's fine. Let it touch. And release everything. Come back to all 3 points. And I'd like to focus on the toes and to bring the toes into the mat on the next inhale. And then exhale and release the toes. So on each inhale, pull the toes, push them strongly into the mat. and then let them release and lift a little bit on the exhale. So inhale, toes into the mat. Exhale, let them release and lift a little bit. And release. Let everything relax. Knees still slightly bent. And we're going to do a little bit of a smooth exercise here. I'd like you to bring your feet a little bit wider, around mat width. And what we're going to do is we're going to slowly slide out to one side, lifting the heel on the opposite side. Slide across and lift. So I want you to focus in this case on the anchor that holds the planted foot down. So we're going to move to the right. Anchor that right foot. Feel it pulling down into the ground. Keep your attention on that foot as you slowly swing to the side. So most of the weight is on that foot. Keep the 3 points evenly balanced. And then we're going to slowly slide left onto the left foot. Find that anchor point. Anchor the right foot, slide to the right. Anchor the left foot as we slide to the left. And what we're going to do is a very smooth, slow lifting of the opposite foot. So we slide to the right, lift that left foot off the mat. Keep your attention on your anchor foot. Exhale. Bring your anchor attention to the anchor foot. Inhale, lift that right foot. So each exhale, we're going to step, anchor, keep your attention there. On the inhale, we'll lift the opposite foot. Exhale, anchor, inhale, lift. Exhale, anchor, inhale, lift. Exhale, anchor, inhale, lift. There we go. Now that you've got the movement down, I'd like you to focus on making this side-to-side movement as smooth as you can make it. Exhale, anchor, inhale, lift. Smooth, really smooth. Like you're moving through nice liquid honey. Smooth, smooth, smooth. All right. Now, we're going to keep the same basic movement going. And what we're going to do is we're going to slowly bring the lifted foot back behind us. You can feel free to bring the toes down if you wish. Exhale, anchor, inhale, lift. Exhale, anchor, inhale, lift. There we go. Make it nice and smooth. We don't care about big here. We just want smooth. We want you to feel moment to moment as you make this movement, and notice what's happening with the pelvis. As that leg turns back, pelvis rotates. The front leg, the planted leg, twists up at the upper thigh. All right, let's modify this a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to continue with this movement, but we're going to add a forward movement with the leg. So exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Now, the foot can touch on the back if you wish. It will probably help you a little bit in terms of regaining your balance. So for the first part, feel free to touch your toes as they come back. So here we go. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Toes come down. Give you a nice pause to find your balance. We're going to do 3 on each side and then shift to the other side. So we're going to add a little now. If you've been able to balance okay with the toes touching back here, we're going to try and do that movement without touching the toes. So the foot is going to remain floating. Here's number 2, number 3, and step out. Other side. 1, 2, 3, and step out. So what we're going to add now is a little bit of movement with the torso, especially with the shoulders, either following or countering the movement of the leg. So to start with, what we're going to do is have the shoulder follow the leg on the same side. So as my right leg comes back, my shoulder comes back also. Let me adjust my cable here. And then as my knee comes forward, my shoulder comes forward. So you'll notice what I'm doing here is a kind of a modified cat-cow. So as the knee comes forward, shoulder comes forward, here's our cat pose. Knee comes back, here's our cow pose with a nice long extended back. So here's 1. 2. And you can feel free to bring the toes down and back. A little bit of assistance in the balance. Let's go to the left side. So as we come forward, shoulder comes forward. As the leg comes back, shoulder goes back. So here's cat, cow, cat, cow. 1 more. And step out. Let's do that same routine each side 1 more time. So 3 times on the right, 3 times on the left. Let's start with the right side. So shoulder and leg come back, lift and make a nice long spine there. Shoulder comes forward towards the knee. And step out. All right, left side. And step out. All right, we're going to change this up now. What we were doing previous is that the shoulder was following the leg on the same side. And what we're going to change now is it's going to move in the opposite direction. So as this leg comes back, previously the shoulder came back also. But in this case, shoulder moves forward. And then as the leg comes forward, shoulder comes back. So you see that we're we're doing a counter twist here. So as the pelvis rotates this way, the shoulders rotate the opposite direction. So let's start. I'm going to start with the right side. So right leg comes back, right shoulder moves forward. So notice that long body twist, and then we reverse. So as the leg comes forward, the right shoulder goes back. Right foot back, right shoulder forward, and reverse. Reverse. And step out. Let's go to the left side. So left leg back, left shoulder forward, and then reverse that. And step out. All right. What we're going to do next is some forward flexions. And I'll turn sideways so you can see what I'm talking about. So from this position, we're going to bend the knees a little bit, and then nice long back. Let's look at that back. So if you were to bring the hands up above your head, notice the position that your back is in. It's a nice long, smooth curve. That is what we're after for a long back. That's the long back position that we're after. Hold on one sec. Okay. So, long back, bring the hands back, keep that long back. We're going to flex at the hips. So the movement takes place right here at the hip joints. There's a little bit of movement at the knees, but the shins generally stay where they're at. So exhale as you come down. Inhale as you come up. Exhale down. Inhale up. So just set your own pace here, and I'd like you to do a little experiment with some really shallow forward flexions. And then some fairly deep forward flexions. Now, if your lumbar curve starts to soften and bend, that's where you stop your forward flexion. We don't want the lumbar to reverse its curve. So do some long ones, nice and deep, and do a few shallow, not so deep. All right, now I want you to lift your right heel just a tiny bit off the mat and continue that movement. So exhale down, inhale up. When you come up, put the right heel down, lift the left heel, exhale down, inhale up. So each time you're up, you're going to lift one heel, put the other one down. And I want you to notice how your body feels when you have one heel lifted versus the other. When the left leg is doing most of the work, does it feel different than the right leg? In my case, the answer is yes, quite a bit different. and release. All right. We're going to change this up a little bit. And what we're going to do is forward flexion, and we're going to add a twist in the hips to the movement. This is what it's going to look like. So I'll show you head on so you have an idea of what the twist looks like. So we're going to maintain the same little bit of knee bend. We're going to flex forward. And then at the lower end, we're going to rotate at the hips so that we come to one side, come to center, come to the other side, come back to center, and then come back up. Here's the breath work for it. Exhale as we come down into the side. Inhale to the other side. Exhale, come back up. Exhale down and to one side. Inhale as you come across. Exhale back to center and up. Now, as you come down, try and change up which side you go to first. So if you just came down and went down and to the right, like this, next time, come down and go left. And as you do this, I want you to pay attention to your feet and notice the pressure on the three different points of each of your feet. If you can, try to keep the 3 points evenly balanced. It's going to be a bit of a challenge since we're doing some rotations from the hips, but focus on that. And release next time you're up. All right. What we're going to do next is just a very slight variation on that movement. What we're going to do is we're going to do that same rotation, but we're going to add a lift in the heel. So let's start again. Feet about hip width apart, feet evenly balanced on all 3 points. Lift your right heel very slightly, and we're going to exhale down. We're going to move to the outside, so towards the planted leg. So in this case, towards my left side. Come to the other side, the side with the heel lifted, and then we come up from that same side. So put the right heel down, lift the left heel. We flex forward. We go to the right. We swing over to the left, and then keeping the body position here, we come straight up. So we don't come back to center when we come up. We come down, we swing to the right, we swing to the left, and we come up in that left position. What we're after here is we want to maintain the twist in the upper thigh as we re-engage the hamstrings to come back up to vertical. So I've lost track of which side was up and down. I'm lifting my right heel. So we exhale down and to the side. Inhale as we come across and up. Put that heel down, lift the other. Exhale down. Inhale across and come up. So you move to the outside of the planted foot. And as we do this, I want you to particularly pay attention to how it feels right here when you're twisting towards the lifted heel and you're coming up. What does it feel like in the hamstring of the planted leg? Let's do a couple more together. So I've got my left heel lifted. Exhale down and to the right. Inhale, swing across and come up. Left heel down, right heel up. Exhale down to the left. Inhale, swing across and come up. And release. All right. Um, since we're doing a little bit of forward flexion, I think we'll continue in that same vein. But what we're going to do is a very slight forward flexion, and then we're going to have the knees move in alternate directions. So if we take like a 3/4 view here, maybe a side would work better. So I'm going to bring my hands behind my back so that I have that nice long, smooth curve in the back, nice curve in the lumbar spine. And then I'm going to do a slight forward flexion, and then I'm going to push my left knee forward, my right knee back, come back to center, and then reverse that, come back to center. So the breath work here is that we will inhale as we push the knees in opposite directions. Exhale as we come back to center and relax. Inhale as the knees push forward and back. Exhale. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And I'd like you to just pay attention here as you do this movement. I don't want you to have a whole lot of load on your lower back. If you've got too much load, come up a little bit more. You don't have to be flexed forward quite so much. Really, you don't need a whole lot of forward flexion here to get the benefit of this movement. And as you do this movement, see if you can make the movement from side to side as smooth as possible. And release. All right, we're going to add on to that same movement. We're going to add a bunch of things in sequence here. What we're going to do next is that we're going to flex forward, and as we move, in this case, my left knee forward, right knee back, what we're going to do is we're going to lift the back foot. So in this case, left knee forward, right knee back, I'm going to lift the right foot at the end of that movement. Put the foot down and move to the other side. So the left foot lifts. So the knee coming back, that foot will lift. And the breath work is going to be the same. Inhale as the knees move in opposite directions. Exhale, come back down to both feet on the ground. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to add on to that foot lift, and we're actually going to bring the foot back behind us. So this is what it's going to look like. So left knee forward, right knee back, foot lifts and comes back a little bit. Exhale, come forward again. So inhale, knees move, foot comes back, exhale, back to center. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now, as you're doing this, I want your torso to follow your pelvis a little bit so that you add a little bit of a torso twist to this movement. You're going to have to pay attention to your anchoring foot. So the foot comes back, the pelvis twists to the side, the shoulders follow the pelvis and twisting in the same direction. All right. And what we're going to add next is, as you may have noticed, as we're doing this movement, as we come around, we still have that slight forward flexion. In this case, since the pelvis is twisted and rotated to the side, it's called a side flexion. So we have a little bit of a side flexion here with the torso in relation to the legs. What we're going to add here is a little bit more side flexion, so that the torso comes down a little bit lower, the leg comes up a little bit higher. So let's move through this nice and slowly. So my left knee goes forward, my right knee comes back, the foot comes around behind, the pelvis rotates out to the side, shoulders rotate to the side, and we tilt a little bit more. And we come back to center. Now, I've got this nice wall behind me to lean on in case I need it. A wall is very helpful. If you've got a chair, feel free to use it. There's no points lost for using something for a little extra balance. So let's look at this. So right knee forward, left foot comes back, and I tilt a little bit farther forward. Come back. Inhale and tilt. Exhale and come down. Inhale, tilt. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And for those of you that watched the session, I don't know, a week or two ago where we focused on half moon, we are very, very close to half moon right here. If you continued with that side flexion into a fully horizontal torso and horizontal leg like this, you would be at half moon. So you may want to jump back there and take a look at that particular sequence where we do half moon. All right. Let's come down into table position. We're going to do a little work there and have some fun with that. Let me show you a head-on view for starters. What we're going to do here in table is we're going to start with a knee lift straight out to the side. So starting in table, it's going to be, a nice flat back, hands a little bit in front of your shoulders. So there's a little bit of an angle. Let me show you from here. A little bit of an angle from the shoulders down to the wrists so that the hands are a little further in front and give you a little more space. So from this position, we're going to take the left leg straight to the side, straight down. Inhale, lift one side, exhale down. Inhale, lift, exhale down. So try and make this nice and smooth. And as you do this, notice what's going on in your arms. What we're developing here is a spinal twist, and sometimes your arms are going to say, I'm going to help this twist, and I'm going to exaggerate, and this is what happens. If I'm lifting my right knee, my left arm will collapse in order to, quote, assist with the spinal twist. But it's important that you keep the arms straight in this case so that the spinal twist is actually a spinal twist and you're not aiding it by buckling the arms under. So keep those arms nice and straight. That's going to keep the twist from the pelvis up to the upper back. And release. So we're going to do a little variation on that. And what we're going to do is we're going to lift one knee up to the side and then shoot the foot across the body so the foot ends up on the other side of the body. Here's what it looks like. I lift my right leg up. And the leg shoots across the body to the opposite side. The hip lifts, both arms stay relatively straight. Notice the lifting of the hip. We've got a good tilt to the pelvis there. You've got a really nice spinal twist with the pelvis lifting and the shoulders and maintaining stability as the foundation. Let's go to the second side. And shoot that foot across. Extend the leg across, then back to the other side. Hip lifts. And down. Bring the knee down. Inhale. Inhale as we lift and shoot the foot across. Exhale. Bring the knee back and down. Inhale. Inhale up. Foot goes across. Hip lifts. Exhale. Exhale down. Couple more here. As you do this movement, notice I want you the on that twist in the pelvis. Notice as the foot comes across the body that you gain a lot of lift in that hip. Inhale, lift and extend. Twist. Exhale. Let's do one more each. One more each side. And release. And release. We're going to do another form of this. I'm going to swing around to the side so you can see it a little more clearly. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same basic movement, but once we're up in the lifted position with the foot coming across the body, we're going to take that vertical thigh and we're going to move it back towards our heel. And then we're going to bring it forward so that the thigh moves forward. Here's what it looks like. Here we go back. Here's forward. Come back to a vertical thigh. Bring the knee back down. Nice. So let's go to the second side. We lift, extend the foot. Bring the hips back towards the heel. Kick the wall. Bring the thigh forward. Come back to neutral with a vertical thigh. Bring the knee down. Nice. Lift. Extend the foot across. Drop the hips back towards the heels. Bring the hips forward. Back to neutral. Feel that hip lift and bring the knee down. Second side. Notice what you feel here, especially as the hips drop back and as the hips move forward. Keep that lifted hip through the whole movement. And release. We're going to move into a prone position, and we're mainly going to be focusing from the upper back down, particularly a lot of movement in the pelvic area. And since we won't be using the upper, we can bring our hands together, rest our forehead on top of our hands, so that we have the opportunity to leave the neck relaxed. What we're going to do is we're going to start by extending the different legs. So if you wake up in the morning, sometimes you might roll to your side and stretch a leg, stretch an arm, reach out, try to lengthen those particular pieces. That's what we're going to do in this position. We're going to lengthen one leg at a time. So I'm bringing my hands together. I'm going to lengthen, extend the right leg. So we're not lifting, we're just extending the leg. Take a few breaths to start. And on your next inhale, extend the leg away. Exhale and relax. Next inhale, extend the left leg. Exhale and relax. Inhale, extend the right leg. Exhale, relax. Inhale, extend the left leg. Exhale, relax. Now, as we do this, I want you to notice what happens with the extended leg up by the hip, the top of the thigh, the iliac crest, the hip bone. As the leg extends, the hip drops down into the mat. I want you to notice that through the next couple of cycles here. Inhale, extend. Exhale, release. We're going to continue nice and slowly here. Notice the pelvis rocking back and forth as the leg extends, the hip drops to the mat, and you exhale and relax. Notice the muscle heat here if you can. You may notice some engagement in the glutes right next to the sacrum where the attachment point is. Inhale, extend. Exhale, release. And we're going to add something here. Instead of just extending, we're going to add a little bit of a knee lift. So extend the leg on the inhale and lift the knee tiny bit, maybe an inch at most. It's not a big lift. We don't need a big lift. Inhale, extend, and lift. Exhale, release. Notice the additional activity going on in the muscles, in the hamstrings, and the lower back as the knee lifts. Notice the hip dropping down into the mat. Try to keep your neck nice and relaxed. So we're going to continue, and we'll add a little variation here to this basic movement. We've been doing single leg lifts, and we're going to add some double leg lifts. So bring your hands together, and on the next inhale, lift both knees slightly, very small. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Notice what happens at the top of the thigh. As you lift, the top of the thigh presses down, the hip area presses down into the mat. Notice, if you can, the engagement in the lower back. We're going to add a little spice here. I'd like you to bring your heels together, keep them together, and we're going to do the same lift. So a slight lift with the knees. Slight lift with the knees. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Heels stay together through the whole movement. You'll notice that the lift and the muscle engagement shifts in towards the inner side, the medial side of the hamstrings. And now we're going to add a little bit of a knee bend to that same movement. So inhale, lift the knees, bend at the knee, bring them in towards your heel. Exhale, straighten the leg and bring everything down and release. Inhale, lift and bend. Exhale, release. And release. So we've been doing double leg lifts. We're going to go back to a single leg lift. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at what happens if we use the opposite knee. So if I extend the right leg, lift the right knee, the right hip presses down into the mat. If we engage the left leg and press down with the left knee, we can use that downward pressure on the opposite knee to add a little bit more of a spinal twist, a little more tilt. It helps push the hip down in. So extend your right leg, push down with your left knee. Notice the pelvis rolls a little more towards the right. And exhale, release. And then we'll go to the second side. Extend the left leg, lift at the left knee, push down with the right knee to aid that twist in the pelvis. Exhale and release. Extend the right leg, lift the right knee, press down with the left knee, adding to the spinal twist. Notice the top right hip pressing down strongly into the mat. Extend the left leg, lift, press with the right knee. And exhale and release. So inhale, engage, press with the opposite knee.
What happens?
Exhale, relax. So notice the downward pressure that you gain by pushing down with the opposite knee. Use that knee to get a little more leverage on the pelvis. Notice the downward pressure on the hips as the opposite knee assists in that twist. Notice the muscle activity here. Where is the heat being generated?
So we've got one more movement we're going to do.
And release.
And it is very similar.
So we're going to
but there's
continue
going to be one rather
with that same
difference in
basic
that.
movement. But we're going to make a subtle but rather profound change. And that is we're going to bend our knees at 90 degrees and hold them there for the whole movement. So with the knees bent, we're going to extend a knee, extend a leg, lift at the knee, press down with the opposite knee to get a little more pelvic twist. And then we'll exhale and release.
Left
Second
knee,
side.
lift the left knee, the right knee pushes down
Press down with the
to
right
help
knee
push
so
the
that
top of the left
gain a
thigh
little
into the
more
mat.
twist. And exhale and release. So inhale, extend the leg, lift the knee. The opposite knee presses down to help push the
Inhale,
hip deeper
left
into the
leg
mat.
extends, lifts, right knee presses down.
Inhale, lift, extend, and press. Exhale, release. Once you've gotten the basic mechanics of this movement down, notice the muscles that get used to create this movement. Notice how the muscles feel at the lower back, the glutes,
The other knee.
hamstrings. All of them worked very nicely in this movement. Let's do a couple more here. Extend, lift the knee, press down with the opposite knee. And release.
And
I want to thank you for
if you want to
joining me this afternoon. I hope that you've enjoyed the sequence that